Pretty Potato Sack returns. I found out recently that if I say the word subscribe, the little button will light up if you haven't subscribed yet. So, subscribe! Congratulations, you're trapped. You are now one with the sleepover. Speaking of terrifying fates, welcome to Spooky Storytime. And as always, greetings weary travelers and fellow story gremlins, including all the new ones that are recently captured. Boy, I'm really selling myself, aren't I? Welcome back, or welcome to the Reaction Sleepover. This is where we react... Whoa. This is the series where we get cozy and we react to stuff. Jeez. I've always had a fascination with spooky stories. I grew up watching like horror let's plays. I don't know, I always like the spooky tinglies. And I actually obtained enough stories for a part 2, so stay tuned for that. Huge thank you to everyone who has allowed me to use their stories. So be sure to grab your cozies and snackies, get extra cozy to protect yourself from the demons. There's totally not anyone behind you. It's me! I am all over the place today. Let's get into it. This is by Just Rose is Fine. Hi, Just Rose is Fine. The title is Alien Spotlights in the Dead of Night. Ooh! Please, take me from my dying planet. I want to cannonball into a black hole. My family would regularly stay at my grandparents' place growing up. Oh, it's always the grandparents' place, isn't it? They live in the countryside, near a lot of cornfields and farms. Again, of course, children of the corn out here. Their house is surrounded by woods, and beyond the woods, behind the house, is a wide open field of crops the neighbors maintain. No surprise there would be some I'm being possessed. Goodbye. No surprise there would be some extraterrestrial shenanigans at some point, right? That's such a good phrase. Extraterrestrial shenanigans. Shenich. I was about to say it 10 times fast. I can't even say it once. My brother and I had to share the bunk beds for our stay. I was on the bottom bunk with a full view of the window that faced the front yard. My grandparents' window blinds suck and don't close all the way, and they don't have any curtains, so I could fully see outside the whole night. And it could fully see you. My brother and I were up late joking and talking when we first saw this bright light outside. Grandpa, why are you on the tractor again? Go to bed. He's like, it's farming time. It moved across the front yard and flashed into our window for a split second. At first we thought it could just be a flashlight, so we got up to look out the window to see if we could maybe spot the neighbors that live across the street. Because that would totally be less weird than aliens. Your neighbor just taking a stroll, flashing their flashlight into your window. Totally. Oh, you know, country living. The source of the light was coming from up high. Jesus? Shining a spotlight down and lighting up the whole yard. And this light was bright. It lit up the entire yard, and their front yard is huge. My bro and I began to assume it was a drone. At the time, drones were starting to become very popular. They were all over TV commercials and on everyone's holiday wish list. So why not assume that's all it was? We looked up to where the source of light was to see if we could spot it. But as soon as we laid our eyes on it, it quite literally zipped away. Oh! And the way it moved was too fast and dynamic for a drone. And drones are known for making some kind of buzzing noises when they fly. This thing was silent. Ew! Ew! I like how that's my response to spooky things. It's just, ew! It flew straight upwards towards the sky then, faster than anything I'd seen. Dashed sideways, the beam of light still shining down the whole time. In the blink of an eye, it was gone. I feel like I don't snap good. ASMR. POV, you're at poetry night. I still feel uneasy thinking about it. What was it searching for? You! Those stories are fascinating. Anytime you hear anything about, like, especially the cornfields, you see the... What are they called? They're called, those patterns you see in the fields? What are those called? I cannot remember. The aliens got to me. They're sucking memory from my brain. Yeah, like those designs or just like other things like that. Ugh, it's so fascinating. And now we're going to read a 2-sentence horror story. There was one Redditor that I reached out to and I was asking permission to read 2-sentence horror stories, and they said that I could read more, so I reached out again and I got a few more from them, so thank you. And this is only a couple of them. I'm going to read more in the part 2 as well. I woke up to find my hands covered in blood. Wonderful start. Realizing with terror that something was tunneling just beneath the surface of my skin. Them's the ticks. The more I clawed at my flesh, the more the relentless, squirming invaders spread throughout my body. Hey, Macarena. Ooh, that's a good one. That's literally just a story of ticks. Thanks, I hate it. Now, on to Season Sector. I really like this title. I have witnessed the spookies. Can I have a cookie? So I didn't know whether to do one. Oh, I forgot to say, if you have any stories, submit to my email or in the links below. Give me more spooky stories or any story. I'll take anything. I'm greedy. So I didn't know whether to do one or all my accounts of the spookies, so here it goes. This first story was around 2003-2004 in Lake Havasu City, Arizona. Hey, my husband grew up in Arizona. It's hot. It'd be cool to go there. I've never been there. And then promptly turn into a raisin. I'm a Washingtonian. I wouldn't survive there. I'm telling some of the cities because I don't live there anymore. And it was nighttime. There were storm clouds in the sky, but nothing so far was out of the blue until like 5 minutes later, there was a green ball of light coming from the direction of the lake. What are you doing in my swamp? Plot twist, it's just Shrek. What have you done? You know the sacred laws of the swamp. It stopped, hovered for a bit, and did a straight 90-degree upward into the sky. What are you? I don't know why, but I just pictured that it was just like a ball of slime, basically. But for some reason, it also emanates light. You just hear it go. Yeah, you totally needed that visual sound effect. You're welcome. But that went all when it disappeared into the clouds from my recollection. All the lightning just stopped. What? Is it Thor in goop form? Again, I don't know why I'm picturing it as like a ball of slime, but that's it. Yep. Wow, great commentary, Amanda. I was like between 5 and 7, and normally this would be considered a kid's imagination. If it weren't for the fact that all the adults were there, saw the same thing, and bring it up without me mentioning it. I'm not crazy. You're like, don't pretend you didn't see it. I saw you. Next one was around 2012 to 2014. And 4 of these stories take place in New Mexico. So the first one, it was around 12 a.m. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, you were just tired and hallucinated it. But this was back when I had the angsty teen energy. It's so real. That didn't need any sleep. Anyway, I'm watching a movie on the laptop, and for some reason I get the feeling to look towards my door. Why would you listen to it? First mistake. And when I do, an indent forms on my bed. Ew. Like someone put their knee on it, and it was like that for a few seconds, and then the indent went back to normal? Ugh! Ugh! No. Get your knee off of my bed. This one was in Needles, California. Needles? It was like 2013, 2014, in the summertime. It was around 7 to 8 p.m. and I was at the shop I was technically working at, and I just started cooking dinner and decided to go outside for a bit, to wait for my dad to come back from work. And as I'm standing outside, I look towards the train tracks, and all of a sudden, my left eye shoots off to the left. Oh. I know you meant like it looks... I just pictured that's what that orb was. It was just your eyeball coming back. Papa, I've come home. Ew. And all of a sudden, my left eye shoots off to the left, and it feels like my eye's trying to drag the rest of my head to follow it to this tree. What? That belonged to the house next door. And when that happened, I went to look behind the tree and saw nothing. I said, nope, and went back inside. Aha! Good job being smart. Although still -1 because you went to investigate. That's how you die, silly goose. This story took place in 2013 in New Mexico in 2 separate classes. And it still freaks me out because there's still no clue as to what happened. That's the best kind. So I'm in math class working in some worksheet for a teacher that was good and actually tried to teach us. When all of a sudden during the school work, my eyes black out. Oh, that's awful. You were being possessed. But this time I see a ball of fire, and I blink and I'm being possessed again. Goodbye. And then I blink and my vision returns to normal. I still have no answers for it. Ball of fire. Saw the prophecy of Sauron.
Obviously.
Did you pull a Pippin and that orb you saw, you touched it, and then Sauron started talking to you? How many times do I have to tell you? You don't investigate. Next one was 2019-2020. Horrifying enough already. And it was dark out in the evening sun. Oh, that's a good, song title. The evening sun was starting to go down when suddenly I'm standing outside and I, for some reason, look between the telephone wires of the neighborhood restaurant. Why do you do this? Never be curious. That's how you stay alive. And I see some light flashing, like when you have light reflect off your phone screen. But what makes this one weird is it flashes 3 times and then zips off into the I don't know where, making a light trail? You're on trial, bucko! Making a light trail like when you see a shooting star. And now we have made it to the last story. What did you do now? This was last year, and I was doing a workout with the help of a workout video, and one of the exercises required us to lay on our backs. So while I'm in my back, I see this translucent amoeba floating inches from my face. What is with you and things floating in front of you? Just gliding along, and I am just like, what? But that was the last time I saw that one. Thank you. Are you saying thank you to me or that amoeba? Just thank you. It was floating by like it was floating by like Patrick in the SpongeBob movie. All right. 2-sentence horror story number 2. As Sarah seasoned the steak, the flesh began to writhe and crawl. Oh, slowly knitting itself into a grotesque face with eyes that stared right into her soul. Oh, paralyzed with fear, she realized too late that what she thought was a harmless ingredient was bringing the dead back to life. What was the season? What was the seasoning so that I may never use it? Ew, that's a good one. And then this last submission contains 3. Thank you for the nightmares. Story number 1. Wind chimes. I like wind chimes. I don't think I'm gonna like them in this story though. I woke up in the middle of the night to see a lady in my room. Hello, madam. No, I do not want your daughter's Girl Scout cookies. Please go away. At first I thought it was sleep paralysis, but I was able to move. I sat up to watch her. Oh, that's sending shivers down my spine, because it's like, at least if it was sleep paralysis, like, you know it is because you can't move, but in this you can move? Oh. She was tall, slender, and wore a long nightgown. Slenderman's bride, what are you doing here? Her skin was pale, her gray hair was down to her ankles and hid her face. She moved across my bedroom floor and stopped by my little bookshelf that I used to display all my fancy crystals and rocks. Ah, crystals girly! Pausing to admire the pretty stones before she looked up at the wind chime I had dangling from another shelf. I was going to try to just ignore it and go back to sleep. Assume I'm still dreaming and I'm hallucinating, but then she reached her hand up, touching the wind chime, and the wind chime actually began to jingle. No! Starts playing Never Gonna Give You Up. The AC wasn't running, the fan on my ceiling wasn't spinning, and my window was closed. Huzzah. Thanks, I hate it, but I love it. Just wanted to come look at your pretty rocks. Story number 2. Dad? Oh, I do not like the tone of this. Growing up, my parents would often check on us kids to make sure we weren't up as school night playing video games. I had awoken to the sound of my door. I had awoken to the sound of my door creaking open, so I rolled over to look. My dad, no, that's not dad, peeked his head in the doorway and stood for the shivers going down my spine at this exact moment. Ooh, peeked his head in the doorway and stood for a few seconds, staring in my direction. I called out, Dad? No response. Begone, Satan! I sat up. Dad. Still nothing. He slowly shut the door and left. Ew! Ew! Oh, I'm just picturing, like, you just see, like, the silhouette, right? And then you see 2 little dots for the eyes. Dude, these are giving me shivers. These are freaking me out. I didn't wait a single second to get out of bed. I thought he was acting strange. I opened the door and looked into the hallway, but he was nowhere to be seen. He couldn't have walked away that fast. I walked down the hall and into the living room. Still didn't see him. I didn't hear his bedroom door open or close either. I quietly opened my parents' door to see if he was awake. Both my parents were fast asleep, snoring. I don't know what that was, but whatever had come to check on me was not my dad. Cool. Love that. Love that for you. Maybe we can say he astral projected to come check on you? Maybe? Please? Story number 3. Caterpillar! Where is this going? What other reason am I not going to sleep tonight? Dude, I'll never forget. Sometimes I wonder if this was a dream or not, but I just remember when I was really, really young, I was playing outside or something, and then I looked like at the back of my house and there were caterpillars everywhere. It was like covered in caterpillars. What was going on? What kind of rave were they having? All right, I'll stop stalling. I awoke, laying on my back and staring at my ceiling. And it was covered in caterpillars. Okay. Something from the corner of my eye caught my attention. I turned my head to see what I can only describe as a black caterpillar covered with blank white faces. Interesting pattern, just perched above my window. It was huge, longer than the window and just riddled with white faces that randomly sat on different parts of its body. Its many legs looked like human arms? I'm sorry. Legs that look like human arms? Okay. And it was slowly crawling over the window. I will gladly accept abduction at this moment. It peered down at me with the frontmost face it had. I thought it was sleep paralysis again. Oh, of course not. But as it began to lean down towards me, I moved. I lifted my hand and pointed at it, and without thinking, I began to rebuke it. Begone, foul beast! You just start bullying it. Ew, look at all those faces. Just become a mean girl. That's what you do with sleep paralysis demons. Or anything else that freaks you out, just bully it. And as soon as I did, it vanished. Can't take the heat, huh? Ah, those were terrifying. Thank you. Or not. But yes. No, but really, thank you everyone who submitted stories or let me use them. Whew. Those were pretty terrifying. I shan't ever sleep again. If you got any spooky stories of your own, email me. Email me, or there's links in the description. Or of course, any other stories you may have that you wish to share that you think would be fun for me to read. That was really fun. I really enjoyed that, and I'm very excited for part 2. But anyway, yes, that is it. Thank you for joining the latest installment of Reaction Sleepover Spooky Stories. It'd be cool to make this like a recurring series because spooky stories are just so interesting to me. I really like reading them. I hope you're doing well, but if not, I hope this video has brightened your day at least a little bit. If I'm gonna have nightmares, I'm gonna take you all down with me.